Hello guys and welcome back to Ollie's on the Bowl. Welcome to my round 11 tips video. So, second round is Sir Doug Nicholls round, and we've got the Dreamtime match and some other exciting matchups this round. And yeah, it should be a pretty good round of footy you would expect. Last week, only 3 out of 9 tips. It was just a bad round of footy for me in general, with 3 out of 9 tips and St Kilda losing to West Coast. It was not very fun to watch, especially the Saints West Coast game, but we'll move past it and looking forward to another round of footy. And so yeah, 3 out of 9 with the tips and 5 out of 9 with the Ollie's calls. So I had a pretty good start to the week for my tips. First game, Gold Coast Hawthorn. I said Suns would win by 9. Suns won by 8, so I got my tip right and the margin wasn't too bad. Carlton Sydney, I tipped the Blues. It was a pretty 50-50 game, but the Swans did get up at home, so that was disappointing for my tips. And then went the upset Adelaide over Collingwood at the MCG. It was a pretty close game, but unfortunately for me, Collingwood did win. Then got Geelong beating Port Adelaide, tip correct. GWS v Fremantle, I tipped GWS as you would think, but Freo with the upset away from home as well. Bulldogs absolutely smashed Essendon, got a tip right there. Then the Sunday, 3 incorrect tips. North Richmond could have gone either way with the tip and the game result, but North got up in the end, so I tipped wrong there. Melbourne with the upset over Brisbane at the Gabba. It's pretty hard to tip against Brisbane at the Gabba, so I went Melbourne. And then final game of the round was the most annoying tip of all. Tipped the Saints against West Coast, and unfortunately West Coast got their first win of the season, so that was my tipping for round 10. So, getting into my tips for round 11. First game of the round. Should be a pretty good game. Bailey Smith Cup, as some people have been calling it. Geelong Western Bulldogs, GMHBA Stadium, 7:30pm Thursday. Geelong with a record of 6-4. Last week beat Port Adelaide by 36. It was a pretty close first half, but then Geelong just ran over the top of Port Adelaide in the end, winning by 76, as I said. Jeremy Cameron kicked 7 goals, which is pretty impressive. He's always kicking goals, I feel like. Never has a bad season, does he, Jeremy Cameron? And Pat's got a pretty comfortable win there. And then the Bulldogs, also 6-4. Last week beat Essendon by 91. So both teams coming off pretty big wins. Essendon just weren't there from the start. 7-0 in the first quarter. Then I think it was like 60 points at half time. And then Bulldogs just piled on the goals again in the second half. Ended up winning by 90, but they could have won by a lot more. Bailey Dale had 49 disposals, which was crazy. And I think like 37 kicks as well, which is, pretty nuts. But this game could really go either way. Both teams have been up and down this season, but I reckon Bulldogs are in really good form at the moment, so I'm going to tip them to get up by 14. And my Ollie's call the Bulldogs trail at 3/4 time and come from behind to win. And then the Friday night game got the Dreamtime match at the MCG between Essendon and Richmond, 7:40pm. Essendon record of 5-4 last week, lost to Western Bulldogs by 91. Essendon, well, they do this. Every year they get your excitement up. It look like, this could be the year they win a final, and then they'll put up some performance like that. They're 5-4, so if they can fight back, like they're right up there for finals, but if they keep playing like that, there is no way they're making finals this season. And then you've got Richmond, 3-7, last week lost to North Melbourne by 4. North played pretty well, and it was an okay performance from Richmond. It could have gone either way, but North got on top in the end. And I reckon this is a game I could really see Richmond winning in front of a big crowd, big game. Not too often they get to play in front of big crowds. So I'm going to tip them in an upset by 21 with my Ollie's calls. Richmond kick 4 last quarter goals, 4+ last quarter goals. Next game on the Saturday, very early match. We've got at Marvel, 12:35pm, Carlton v GWS. Carlton record of 4-6 last week, lost to Sydney by 16. Well, It wasn't a great performance. They were in front for most of the match, but then Sydney just come late in the last quarter and ended up victors in the end. And yeah, the Blues, it's a bit hard to still get a read on them. At 4-6, if they lose their next game, they're probably out of finals contention, you would have to say. Then you got GWS 5-5. Last week lost to Freo by 34. It was a pretty disappointing performance. Freo are a very up and down team. One week they'll beat Adelaide at home, then they'll lose to the Saints by 60 away, and then they beat GWS by 30 away. So it's very hard to tell with Freo, and GWS are pretty up and down as well. But GWS, I feel like they've got the better team on paper, so I'm going to tip them to get it up in this one by 38, with my Oz Cold Carlton to score less than 70 points. Next game, MCG 4:15pm Saturday, Hawthorn Brisbane. This is going to be a massive game. Hawthorn record of 7-3. Last week lost to Gold Coast by 9. In Darwin, not a bad performance from the Hawks, but it shows that no one can win in Darwin, no matter who plays up there. Some to beat the Cats up there, the Bulldogs, Hawks. They've beat some really, in the last couple of years, they've beat some really quality sides. And no one can find a way to get a win up there. But Hawks are 7-3, would be looking to get their season back on track in this one. Then you got the Lions, 7-1-2. Coming off two pretty disappointing results. Last week lost to Melbourne by 11 at home, which, yeah, is pretty disappointing. Melbourne played pretty well and come from behind in the end in the last quarter to win it. So a really good performance from Melbourne. But Brisbane, second week in a row where they would have expected the win and they didn't get the win. So pretty disappointing. But at the end of the day, they're still second on the ladder and still probably premiership favourites. So this game could really go either way. Both teams up high on the ladder, but I'm going to tip Hawthorn by 7. With my Oz call, there are 10 plus lead changes in the game. Next game at Marvel Stadium, 7:35pm Saturday. So third game in Melbourne for the day. 2 games at Marvel. Got North Collingwood. North Melbourne 2-1-7. Last week beat Richmond by 4. They're a very inconsistent team, like a lot of the teams at the moment. They played that one good game against Melbourne. Every other game has been bad apart from their draw against Brisbane, and then last week a good win over Richmond in a close game, which North probably haven't won too many close games lately. So a good win, and they're on the up. Collingwood, on the other hand, 8-2. Last week beat Adelaide by 10. They just love beating Adelaide, like in close ones. I feel like they don't lose to Adelaide very often, and they haven't lost to them in a long time. So this game, well, you'd think Collingwood should get up easily, but being at Marvel, last time these teams played at Marvel, North nearly won but did lose by a point, so could North repeat fate but end up getting the win, or will Collingwood come out and smash them? I don't know, but I reckon Collingwood will get up easily here by 52, with my Ollie's call that Jamie Elliott and Bobby Hill combined for 6+ goals. Then the next game on the Saturday night, the first game out of Victoria for the round, Optus Stadium, got Freo and Port Adelaide. Yeah, this could be an interesting match as well. Both teams a bit unpredictable. Fremantle 5-5. Last week beat GWS by 34. Really good performance from them. Trey Bolton played well, probably his best game for Freo so far, and really helped them get the win. Port Adelaide lost to Geelong by 76 at home, was pretty disappointing. Now they're down to 4-6. If they lose one more, they're probably out of finals contention, and you'd basically say season over. But I could see them getting a win here, but I could also see Freo getting a win. But I think Freo usually play pretty well at home, so I'm going to tip them to get up by 24, with my Oz call Shea Bolton kicks 3+ goals. Next game, at Adelaide Oval, 1:10pm Sunday, we've got Adelaide v West Coast. Adelaide 6-4, last week lost to Collingwood by 10. Wasn't a great performance, but you'd expect that. It's pretty hard to beat Collingwood at the MCG, And they're still 6-4 and rarely lose at home. So if they can just pick up a few more away wins, you would think they should make finals. And this is one that they'd expect to win quite comfortably. Then West Coast, record of 1-9. Last week beat St Kilda by 28. It was a very good performance from West Coast. St Kilda played pretty badly, but West Coast still needed to play how they did and ended up winning pretty comfortably in the end. And yeah, really good performance to get their first win out of the season. But that doesn't really change who I'm going to tip in this one. I think it's pretty obvious. Tip Adelaide. I'm going to tip Adelaide by 67 with my Ollie's call that Adelaide kick 120 plus points. Next game, second last game of the round, MCG, 3:20 PM Sunday. Got Melbourne v Sydney. Melbourne 4-6. Last week beat Brisbane by 11. Really good performance from Melbourne. They've actually played, I think they've won 4 out of the last 5. And start of the season, when they're on 5, you're thinking, they could be down the bottom, like bottom 2. But now, I wouldn't, they're a sneaky chance for finals. I know they have played most of the bad teams, like the likes of West Coast and North and Richmond, but you never know. After that performance against Brisbane, they could beat anyone on their day. Then you got Sydney, 4-6 last week, beat Carlton by 16. They've been really up and down this season, started 0-2, and got a win away in the West, and then they lost at home to Port, and yeah, there's just been a few up and down performances. And I reckon in Melbourne, I'm going to back Melbourne in to win here. I'm going to tip them by 27 with my Ollie's call that Max Gawn scores 125 plus Supercoach points. And then the final game of the round at Marvel Stadium, 4:40 PM Sunday, got St Kilda v Gold Coast. St Kilda with a record of 4-6 last week lost to West Coast by 28. They were absolutely dreadful. Were the Saints? We did not play well. We did not show up, and yeah, it looks like it's going to be another season of disappointment. But oh well, there's always next year, I guess. And I can't see us any chance of this game. And then Gold Coast 7-2 last week beat Hawthorn by 9. Very good performance in Darwin. They never lose there, but this is a different challenge. Playing away, they do struggle a bit, but it's against St Kilda. They should win easy. I'm going to tip them by 59. With my Ollie's call that Gold Coast lead our game. So, recap of my tips for round 11. First game, Bulldogs Geelong. I'm going to go the upset stuff, but my tipping's already screwed, so I may as well screw it up more. I'm going to tip the Bulldogs. Then go another upset, because my tipping's already screwed. Tip the Tigers to get up over Essendon. And then Carlton GWS, very 50-50 game, but I'm tipping the Blues. Hawks Brisbane. Another game where you could go either way, but I reckon Hawks will get up at the MCG. And then got North Collingwood. Collingwood should get up easy. Freo play like a top 4 side at home, so they should get up. Adelaide, and then on the Sunday, Adelaide West Coast. Adelaide should get up pretty easily. Melbourne Sydney, very 50-50 game, but I reckon Melbourne get up at home. Then finally, St Kilda Gold Coast. How are the Saints 12% chance to win after the way they played last week? So I'm going to tip Gold Coast to get the win. So those are my tips for round 11. Thanks for watching. I was on the ball. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you haven't seen, I did post my vlog the other week from North Melbourne Brisbane, which was a pretty crazy game. So if you haven't checked that out, go check it out now. But otherwise, thanks for watching and see you next time.